Tom, I wasn't aware of this, and I think you asked the question. Cincinnati opening game. I know Arkansas fans are hoping they get some better punting this year. I didn't know that Fletcher's brother Mason played at Cincinnati. Both their family, I think they're flying in from Australia to see that game in Fayetteville. Is that correct?
Well, good morning, guys. I gave away a little of my Hog future I'm doing on Max Fletcher, who, he punted at Pro Kick Australia. His brother did. They're jacked up that they're going to meet on the field for the game. A few more details will come out in my story, but, his parents are supposed to come up. And, with COVID, it's been a while, so it's going to be a neat little reunion for them.
I thought that was pretty cool. We got a lot of stuff out of Sam Pittman yesterday, and I know that he's really excited. You remember how Chad Morris was trying to shrink the fellas up front? Well, that worked out really well. 2 back-to-back 2-10 seasons. And now Sam's got Jamil Walker, trying to pump these boys, get some beef into them. They look like an SEC team a lot more now than they did when he first got there. How important is that you just continue to grow, not just in build, but they're getting a lot more speed, too, it seems like?
Right. Well, it's imperative. A, keep the great D linemen in this conference away from your quarterback, and then B, get the ball in the hands of guys who can outrun fast guys on the other side of the field. And on the other side of the ball, have your safeties and corners, the guys who are fast, come up and make plays on the other team's fast receivers. I mean, that's why Jameson Williams was such a great addition for Alabama. He ran by people last year with his great speed. And he did it for a touchdown in the Arkansas game, or actually a couple of touchdowns. So it's all a part of being a quality program. And there's a lot of things that go into winning, but believing that they can go out and make plays and win games was part of it. But then being a team that's bigger, that can physically do things on people, and then have the speed to get by them are other components. And he's slotting those things into place, and they look much more like a quality SEC football team now.
Tom, one of the early questions yesterday was about Taurean Carter, and it was a little bit cryptic. I don't know what you took out of that. He's going to be in the meetings. He's in practice, not cleared for contact. What was your takeaway on when he may or may not return?
Well, he had to have knee surgery, and they haven't been super specific, and I think we're going to run into that a lot more this year. But he had to have knee surgery, and if it's an ACL, as I believe, then what the time frame is for ACL surgery, for return. So if he plays this year, it would be kind of a head of schedule thing. And what Sam said in Atlanta about him was that guys who have strong their muscles are strong around their soft tissue can come back from knee surgeries faster, and that Taurean Carter is one of those guys. And so I don't know. I hate it for him because he was having a heck of a spring. We had just talked to him a few days before, maybe the week before, and he was in good spirits. And I think he was going to be, a starter, and I think he was looking to have a breakout season. So Cam Ball and some other guys are going to have to jump up and help Isaiah Nichols, Terry Hampton, some other guys at tackle till he comes back. And I think Dominic Johnson, it's the same thing. I mean, his injury happened in the bowl, so he's got a few months on Taurean, but Coach Pittman said yesterday, they didn't think they'd have him for the Cincinnati game, but they felt like they'd have him for a good chunk of the year. So we're going to see a lot of Rocket Sanders, A.J. Green, and Rashad Dubinion for several games before Dominic Johnson can return.
Back to Taurean Carter for just saying, I guess we should point out, he's a redshirt junior for those that may not know. So, I get confused, Tom, with the COVID year and extra year of eligibility and where that begins and leaves off sometimes now. So he's already used his red shirt, I guess, is one thing we should point out with Carter if he's not able to go this year.
Yeah, that's correct. Of course, high school teammate of Jalen Catalon came in with Catalon, and of course, Catalon was the bigger name. But we've talked to Carter a few times now, and he's a good kid, and like I said, his spring was going, it was going very well, and he would have gotten starting reps. I'm positive about that. And so now Isaiah Nichols is more the leader in that room, and those other guys are going to have to pick it up till Carter can come back.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush. Tom, I think a lot of people are wondering, hey, who's going to be catching the football on kickoffs and punt returns? And Sam Pittman listed off a handful of guys yesterday. He did nix Rocket Sanders, though, and Scott Fountain was asking him about that. And I just find it fascinating that back in the day, you had your two starting running backs, Felix Jones and Darren McFadden, out there. It's just not like that today, man.
No, it's not, because they know. The stats say that the collisions on kickoff returns are some of the most violent and injury-causing in college football and pro football. One of the good things about that is there's not as many kickoff returns as there used to be, but you can still get hurt when you do return them. So I think it's a wise idea. Rocket did return some last year, just a few. A.J. Green did, but I think Green's still probably in the mix. Isaiah Satania. I think Miles Fletcher, they mentioned, is a potential kickoff return guy. And I was talking to, I think it was Jalen Lewis, saying that he's a good return guy too. So I don't know if he's going to get into the mix or not. But he's a DB. But yeah, I think we're going to see some new faces back there, and hopefully Arkansas can get to where it was a few years ago, where Burks was a dangerous guy on punt returns, and it's been only a few guys since Joe Adams that were electric enough that could return punts and kickoffs for touchdown. And Dennis Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kid from Texarkana.
Oh yeah, Tom, you mentioned that, and by the way, I hope you don't have a Greg Brooks fiasco like you did in the Texas game, where first one he tried to field, he muffed, and Arkansas got lucky because guy stepped out of bounds. But all right, so tomorrow, set the scene. You're walking into practice. What's the first thing you're looking for when you step foot on a fall camp for the first time?
Oh man, now you're going to make me. I don't know what. I'm looking for guys, like who's injured and who's in there, who's not, who's in on the first units. There's so much to take in. This is what I love about football. There's so many components that have to fall into place to make for a good team. And Arkansas has got a lot more of those this year. But, who's in there on the defensive front? Are they running 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts more often? Are they going to do like they did in spring, where they started off in 3 for couple of weeks and then moved to 4? Personnel, who's the first groups of receivers? How often Malik Hornsby gets used and when? Oh, there's a lot of things to keep track of, and I don't know. There's an excitement about this team suiting up and going out this year because of what happened last season and the promise that they're still really good, and they're going to be in a lot of these games.
Yeah. Tom, real quick, we got about 30 seconds before we got to run, but first practice is at 5, then 3 o'clock, up till their first day off next week. You surprised with the heat that these practices have been scheduled in the hottest parts of the day?
Well, a little bit, because Sam said in Atlanta that they would adjust the schedule if they needed to. And the player, council kind of came to them, and, player safety is a big deal. And so I think if we end up having some of these 100-degree days and the heat index is way up there, they'll probably adjust those and go either, in the evenings or try to go in the morning.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, that might be on the lookout for an adjusted time if the weather doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next week on Tuesday.
All right, sounds great. See y'all.
All right, Tom Murphy with us every Tuesday and Thursday now here on the Morning Rush from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.